Hey guys, Reed here and welcome to Reed Reborn. Today is a guide on the Wanderer's Palace hard mode, one of the new dungeons released in update 2.5. To do this dungeon you need an average item level of 90 or above, and you can enter it by accepting the quest Not Easy Being Green, which you can find in Mordona. Overall this is a good dungeon with some interesting fights, but let's move on to the first boss. So after saving some fleeing Tombreys, you're going to come to the first boss, Fruminous Coalhill Jar. A move he does regularly throughout the fight is target one random player and shoot fire at them, dealing around 1000 damage. At around 90% he's going to cast Blazing Angon and throw a Sacred Spear into the ground. This should be taken out as quickly as possible because after a short time it does raid wide damage and gives players the debuff Burns, which causes fire damage over time. An AoE to look out for is Burning Memories. This targets one player and is just a circle around them and you just need to move out of the way. But that's the whole boss fight. You just need to take out the spears as soon as they spawn and dodge the AoEs, and then you have killed the first boss and you can move on with the dungeon. So after breaching the defensive line you will come against the second boss, Slithy Zulu Jar. This is a good fight, but there are still some moves to look out for. So a move that happens often throughout this fight is called Ground Burst. A random player is going to be targeted and hit for around 1500 damage. Another move that happens often throughout the fight is Fire Spit. This does around 4000 damage to whoever has aggro, so healers just need to be aware of this throughout the fight. So the main mechanics of this fight is the totems that spawn after the boss finishes casting Sacred Standard. Depending on what colour totem you run into depends on what buff or debuff you get. For example, there are 4 different totems, one green, one purple, one light blue and one red, each giving a different buff or debuff. Here are the different buffs and debuffs that the totems give you. There is no need to pick up any other coloured totem apart from green, so at this point in the fight both DPS should take the green totems and DPS the boss down as quick as possible. But later on in the fight the boss starts casting Toad on a random party member, meaning they are a Toad until he casts Standard Retrieval and takes away the totems. Therefore if a DPS is hit by Toad, a tank and a DPS should pick up a green totem to do as much damage as possible. And that's pretty much the fight. Just keep healing through Ground Burst and Fire Spits and picking up the green totems to do as much damage as you can. Finally, after freeing the imprisoned Tombreys and clearing the Bellows, you will come on to face the final boss, Manxam Moolah Jar Jar. So a move to look out for often during this fight is Tyrannic Blare. This is a huge frontal AoE which does around 1500 damage, increases your magic vulnerability and stuns you. So another move to look out for is Soul Dows. This gives a random player the debuff Doom, which causes guaranteed death if the debuff is not removed in time. A way you can remove this is just by healing the player to full health and the debuff is removed. So around every 5 to 7% of the boss's health, he's going to drop a Sacred Standard, and if he stands in these he gets increased damage and reduced vulnerability, so as soon as this spawns you just need to drag him out of the way and you can carry on fighting. As you progress through the fight he learns a new move and targets random players with the debuff Rotting Lungs. You can get rid of this by standing in the small AoE around him called Rot Gas. In doing so you remove Rotting Lungs but give yourself the debuffs Poison and Disease. Anyone who's caught in Rot Gas with the person who is removing Rotting Lungs will also receive Disease and Poison. You can then get rid of this by using Isuna or Leeches. As you can see, every now and again, instead of a Sacred Standard spawning, a Sacred Idol will spawn, and this gives the boss increased damage and reduced vulnerability, so just take this out as quick as possible and then you can go back to the boss. At around 50% the boss is going to summon 2 adds, and these should be taken out as quick as possible as they cast Ground Burst on players, dealing reasonably high damage. And that's the fight. There's nothing new introduced in the second half, so you just need to make sure you keep moving the boss out of the Sacred Standard zones and killing the idols, dodging Tyrannic Blare, healing through Doom, getting rid of Rotten Lungs and killing the adds, and then you would have killed the boss and completed the Wanderer's Palace hard mode. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Final Fantasy XIV videos in the future.